Hello, Sid here, and welcome to the Drunken Ork. Now, a few videos ago, I made some Badmoon Mega Nobz out of the new Horus Heresy Batternine Terminators. Big out chunky lads, big domed shoulder pads. I'll stick a few of the pictures up now just to refresh your memory. And I decided that, although I'd made the full squad of 6, you need someone to lead these Mega Nobz. And just any old Mega Nob character model, whether a Big Mek or a Warboss and Mega Armour, they weren't really going to cut the mustard size-wise. So I needed somebody who was going to do them justice. And in that box, you not only get the 6 Batternine Terminators, you also get an additional character model. What I thought I'd do with this is turn them into a Big Mek to run alongside these. I do have a big chunky Badmoon Mega Armoured Warboss. So if I need that, I've got him, and he's actually a little bit bigger than those. He's from Hardcore Minis. He's monstrous, to be fair, but you know, Gazzy style sort of size. But I don't have a Big Mek to rival it. I've only got itty bitty mechs, certainly compared to the Batternine Terminators. So anyway, this video, what I'm doing is going to be building a Badmoon Big Mek in Mega Armour to lead those Badmoon Mega Nobz. So should we just get cracking with the build? So start off, we've got the base with a lovely bit of tactical rock. And just because how his legs fit on here, the legs of course I've already built, I've decided to keep the tactical rock. It's very tactical after all, and I think it looks quite heroic and orky in pose. There we go, lovely. Now that could be enough, but I thought why not add a body to him, so I did. And this of course is the body of that Batternine dude. Here's the legs. As you see, I've started cutting off some of that un-orky paraphernalia, and I've widened his head hole, which is a technical term, TM. It's a bit rough there, so smooth it out a bit with a grinding cone. Pink tip of destruction. I've got rid of them now, but I can't show it on YouTube. Once I've sanded away a little bit with the old power tool, I'll get my knife out, trusty knife, and as I am quite the bladesmith, I just carve away some excess plastic and a little test fit, see if the orc head fits. It doesn't, unless he's looking at his shoes. You see, there's that little nubbin there in the way. So with a pair of snips, that gets snipped off. That's why they're called snips. And then smoothed over again with the knife. Always remember to cut not into your flesh. Safety. And with that bit done, the head nearly fits. I'm going to have to trim a little bit off the back of his chin jowls just for him to fit in. It doesn't matter because you won't be able to see it. And with the power grinder, I'm going to take off that scroll, because orcs don't have scrolls. Why would an orc have a scroll? They've got nothing to write on it. Their glyphs are huge and daubed in squig shite and what have you. So no, a scroll ain't going to do much. So let's get that sanded off. Again, once I've sanded it, I can smooth it with a knife, and it looks a bit like that. As you can see, I've also glued those big domed shoulder pads on as well. I've got some extra bits and bobs here, which came with this Batternine. I'm going to call him a Praetor. I don't know if that's what he is. I think it's a Praetor. But the Batternine character, he's got that little cock rag, he's got these little straps which hang down. There was some little ornament things instead, but you know, straps beat ornaments. And he's got this chain with a thing on it. It hangs lusciously around his neck, or where his neck would be if he wasn't so hench. Now this is a Badmoon, so chains are good. And I think I was going to have his welding mask here hang off this chain. Maybe I will. I don't. So, surprising nobody, I glue his cock rag over his cock, I suppose. Sorry, that's unnecessarily vulgar. But yeah, give him that, and I'll be able to paint that with a nice little logo on it. The leather titty straps, Again, unnecessarily vulgar. I do apologise. But they are placed over his titties. They're a bit awkward to get on, to be fair, and I use the tip of a knife blade just to push them into place, and then obviously when the glue sets, they'll be fine. They'll be reet. Do the same with both of them, to be fair, but you probably figured that out. Then when I built him, I'd left his heels off, so now I'm going to put his heels on. So I'll put a little bit of glue on the back of his heel, or where his heel would be, and then I just stick the heel on. Now, I don't know if that's in the right place, because some of these are not very intuitive joints. So I get it on roughly, and then I stand him on his rock, and this will put his feet flat on the ground, or at least on the ground where they're meant to be, and then I can push the heels onto the ground, like that. See, that one was a bit high. That was very high. And then I put it aside to dry. Yeah, I put a little bit of glue on his left kneecap, which I'd filed flat, and I'm going to glue on an orc skull. It's an orc skull from the Citadel skull kit, and I'd cut the back of the head off, or the skull off, to make sure it was flat. Turned out to be a little bit too proud from the knee, as in stuck out a bit, so took it off, wiped off the glue, hit it with a sanding stick, took it down to just the front and stuck it back on. And I was much more happy with that result. And I think you should be too. Yeah, why wouldn't you? Look at that. Oh, that's his old mate. Next, I'm just sizing up some Human skulls because I want to stick a Human skull on his belt buckle. Again, it came with a few different belt buckle options, but quite frankly, they were all a little bit too Imperium. And I'll have no truck with that, apart from, you know, using their full suits of Batternine armour. So I got some Human skulls, some with jaw bones, some without, and I trimmed them and I used those as additional decorations in a few places on this model, but the first one going on his belt. When it comes to plastic glue, I'm a big believer in standard Tamiya plastic glue. I've tried the thin stuff, I don't like it as much. I do use it occasionally, the thin brush is quite useful, but no, pretty much stick with the standard. Here I've attached the chain as well as the skull belt buckle, and of course the head. Yeah, just squish it into place. Now the head would only fit in if it was slightly turned to the side, so I've got to do something with that, otherwise it looks daft. Next up, I get an old Forge World ammo grot who's dragging a stupidly bulbous rocket bomb thing behind him, and I snip off the rocket because I don't want him to have a rocket. I also cut off some of the stabilising fins, so it looks like he's just carrying this canister behind him, which is fine. I've also trimmed the canister down so it's flat, so I can mount this on his back, which is the Big Mek and Mega Armour's custom force field generator. Now this one, as you can see, is painted because it was off the previous kit. I originally cut it off Leonardo the pin sheet to give him a teleport blaster, and I'm finally going to get around to using it again. The pisser is I'm going to have to repaint it, but there we go, never mind. So I'm going to stick on the back of the little grot, and this will be his grot assistant who follows him around and also shows how he's got a custom force field, should I decide to run him with one. Going back to the Big Mek, I have cut off the little arm nubbins that those daft Umis insist on having around about the end of their shoulders, divvies. When every good orc knows they should be level with their ears, because that's where arms come from. But I've got to fill that hole in, so I'm just using a bit of very thick sprue goo here. I do need to thin this down a bit, it's getting thicker. But for now, and what I need it for here, the thicker the better. And once you've put a dollop on, it'll smooth out itself generally, but it does leave lots of thin wisps which set in seconds, so you can pick them off with tweezers. But if you don't pick them off and you leave them any longer, they generally set by fusing with the model, and then they're a right pain in the arse. Little ephemeral wisps of plastic dreams floating around your model, but with the power to choke a turtle. So it's best to get them off as quick as you can. Next up, the left arm. I've got a big old waxer arm off an Ork from Age of Sigmar. I think it's one of the Gorg Runter lads. And I snipped it off midway through his wrist guard and added the Big Mek Power Claw from the Mega Nob kit. Because the shoulder section is a little bit erratic, you know, thanks to the one size fits one mentality in GW nowadays. I've had to take a knife and cut that flat. And as you can see in here under the shoulder pad, the sprue goo has dried. Then I put a little bit of sprue goo on the arm and back in the hole where I want it to go. I use sprue goo instead of the plastic glue because sprue goo will still melt the plastic and form a weld, but it'll also fill any of the little gaps caused by this most erratically weird of all joining shapes that GW came up with, probably in a fever dream after huffing its own overpriced spray paint. Oh my god, some bitter feelings came out there. There we go, it's got an arm and it's just hanging by his side. You can also see here, I've stuck a big teleport blaster on his shoulders. It's massive, isn't it? I stuck a few other little bits of odds and sods on the back too, including one of the power fists off the Batternine Terminators just to act as a supporting column. No real rhyme or reason to any of that, just filling in gaps. And I also added a backpack here, like a power pack, which was off one of the Mek, oh I don't know what they're called, breechers? No, not breechers, the dudes with the tracks for legs. It was one of them. I got the power pack and I just had to trim a few little bits off, and a few bits off the model to be fair, just to get them to fit nicely. Then a liberal application of plastic glue to the bits which are going to be hidden from sight, but in contact with each other, and the power pack is glued in place. And then adjusted over the space of the next 10 minutes to make sure it's roughly even. Lovely. And the right arm, I'm going to give him the custom Mega Blaster. So I took an old resin arm, which is off a Nobz Warbiker, and added the custom Mega Blaster from the Mega Nob Big Mek. And I'm going to have him holding the custom Mega Blaster pointing up with a bent arm in a kind of dramatic pose. I do quite like the fact he's got the big metal fist holding the weapon that the Mega Nobs have. Keeps him on theme with those other models. There we go, dramatic. I'm going to have to glue this one with super glue because the resin arm won't be affected by the plastic. I've also got the spiky armband which goes around his bicep. I need to trim it to shape slightly, and then I'll bend it a little bit tighter so it goes round his arm, just because you could see quite a lot of that arm, and as far as mega armour goes, he seemed mega unarmoured, so this is just an extra bit of armour really. Now the welding mask there, I don't like it, and I don't like it here either. I don't really want it on the front because there's quite a lot of nice detail there I don't want to cover up, so I'll have to think on that. I do have this servo arm which came off, I think it was a Space Wolf, in fact yeah it was a Space Wolf Tech Marine. So I'm trying to find a place to fit that, to be fair, because he's getting quite busy, and as much as I don't want to make him too busy, I also don't want him not to have a servo arm. And I can't find anywhere to put him on the right, because with his right arm being up, I don't want the servo arm up as well, because then he'll look off balanced as a miniature altogether. So really, I think I'm going to need to put this servo arm on the left, where he's got the claw pointing down. But that would mean the servo arm is pointing backwards, which is stupid. But in addition to that, it's also got a dog's head on the end of it. What's that got to do with anything? I'm not having a dog's head on the end of my Big Mek's backwards pointing servo arm. Only so much stupidity can be handled. So I looked through some pieces, and these circular saws are from the Battle Sisters, Penitent Engines, I don't know what they're called. Those dirty sinners and the baby carriers, them ones. So I snip off one of these circular saw bits and decide to nick the blade. Kapow! Fruit Ninja! Then find a similar looking line on the wolf nut on the end of the servo arm, saw it off. Snips are just too random, especially when you're not cutting for something flat. And then yeah, glue the sword blade on the end. Like that. Next, I get distracted and decide to do something with his right knee. I get distracted a lot. I'm a modelling butterfly, flittering from one pollen-laden project to the next. So after trimming the little knee jewel flat as a mounting point, I cut a spike off an Ork Waaagh tyre guard and glued that to his knee. This is one of the Big Mek's most devious inventions, and it is used for kneeing Space Marines in the ghoulies. Well done Big Mek, your ingenuity knows no bounds, and you are a true inspiration to us all. As far as the welding mask goes, that ended up being just fastened to his belt around the back. He's still got it, it's a cool addition, but it's not on the front. I added more cables and pipes from various kits, no idea, possibly Batternine. And I put the circular saw, after a little bit of tweaking, on the left hand side, on the end of his teleport blaster. I also give him a couple of little mechadendrite arms mounted to his armour, and the left hand one is holding a stolen Auspex scanner, which his turned head, remember from earlier, is gazing at, knowingly. Probably. So that's all a bit cool, isn't it? Big Mek Crookfang. Oh, that's right, he's got a name. Now, I just need to paint him as a Badmoon. There we go, that's a model built. And yeah, he's a big lad. I think he's, because of his tactical rock and his teleport blaster, he's a teensy bit, looks a bit bigger anyway than the rest of the Mega Nobz, which is good, because he should be a little bit bigger. He's a big mech. So next is all to do is to paint him. And I've done this off camera because I painted him the same way as I painted the Mega Nobz. In the same way I paint most things, to be honest with you, so there'll be no surprises there. If you're interested, go and check the Mega Nobz video out for some painting tips, at least on how I painted it. But I think we'll just go to the top-down camera, or the over-the-shoulder camera. There's so many cameras. I'm so professional. And have a look at the finished model. So here he is. All done and dusted. I went with the yellow for a Badmoon, which I know is a bit of a shocking decision. With plenty black on there as well. Some of the armour's got the black trim, some of the panels are black. A little bit of freehand, namely the Badmoon on his cock rag, and some checks up there. Other than that, pretty standard stuff. I did paint his lenses. Blue eye lens, green teleport blaster lenses, some little blue jewels on his belt. Brown leather straps, yeah, no, the usual stuff. Cabling, just to give him a splash of colour. Oh, he's got a lens on his welding mask as well. But yeah, I think he looks quite cool, really. And of course you can see his mechadendrites there. He's got the little one there, and the one holding the, well, let's face it, it looks like an Ultramarines data pad. Maybe he's getting some insights into tactical shenanigans on that. I don't even know. But yeah, I am very pleased with him. And in case I decide to field him with a custom force field and not the teleport blaster, well, the teleport blaster stays in place because he takes it everywhere, but sometimes he doesn't charge it up. And if he does that, he's got a grot assistant who has yet not got a name. So by all means, chip in with a name if you can think of anything, pop it in the comments below, and he can follow with him. And again, he's going to follow him anyway, that's his grot aid. And if I'm going with a teleport blaster, he's just carrying out his punishment. There's nothing in it. It's not even plugged in. Stupid little grot. I hope you like it. There you go then, model done. Big Boss Mek Crookfang. Stick him in the war. He's a big character in the war as well, quite a high ranker. I don't think he's up there mechy-wise with Leonardo, who's just a little bit, you know, a little bit special. But he's good competition. Keeps him on his toes. Keeps it fresh. Speaking of keeping things fresh, I'm also involved in another YouTube channel with 5 other content creators who, to be fair, do like the orcs as well. And that is the Warboss Show. So if you're not already a member, can I suggest you get yourselves over and have a look? We've been doing a podcast over there for a number of years, just chatting nonsense basically, and it's just sort of plodded along. But more recently we've decided, right, it's time for a fresh new take, and we've had a bit of an overhaul. We've went for a TV magazine style format where there's a kit bash I've done exclusively for the Warboss Show for an Orky flyer. Could have been straight out of Big Mek Crookfang's workshop, to be fair, as it's yellow. There's also lore segments, there's third-party reviews, there's skits, there's a bit of everything, to be fair. So get yourself over the Warboss Show, get a subscribe in, watch the first episode, there'll be more coming, leave a comment, and one of the bosses no doubt will get back to you. Alright, so anyway, thank you very much for that. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe over here as well. Leave a comment, I'll get back to you. And until next time, ta-da. And take care.